a fantastic day so far. It's warm and windy, and we're getting set now for some improved production action. So we'll welcome Warren Luff back into the lane, and they head out onto the grid.
Yeah,
good day so far, was it?
Been a great day so far. Race 2 for these guys. They put on a great show in the first one, and let's see what they can do in this one. See if they can stay out of trouble and keep enjoying themselves.
Cameron will be our man in the lane. He's getting himself set up for this one. We've got Bryce Forward heading out for Commodore Cup, which is the race within a race. He won his first race earlier this morning. He's also got double duties this weekend with the Aussie racing cars that have been wowing the crowds as well. And he's been pretty handy in both cars so far.
Yeah, look, he's been doing an amazing job all weekend. Obviously, he's been the benchmark here in Commodore Cup, as you would expect. But to go into Aussie race cars, which is such a competitive field, and he's out there mixing it with the guys at the front. He even had his turn at the very front. And but yeah, he's driving in that category like a full-on pro. So look, again, great for him to get more miles under his belt heading into his first Enduro season.
You'll be gridding up against him when we get to Sandown for the Pertec Enduro Cup. How do you think Bryce is going to go?
Look, he was really quick down at Winton in the co-driver session down there. Look, he's a young guy with a huge amount of talent. He'll be one to watch.
It's a BMW on pole. Tim Playford will start alongside him in the Mazda. He missed the start early today. Let's see if he can get a better jump. Michael Ubergang brothers here this weekend. Adam driving in the Aussie racing car. They'll start at a P number 3 alongside Shane Satchwell. Watch out for Jessup in that really cool Commodore with the old school HRT paint job on it. We've got Salmon out there today in the Club Sport. Right over the page, we don't just have Bryce Ford. We've got a Holdsworth on the grid, but it's Glenn Holdsworth, father of Lee. Keep an eye out for the HQs towards the back of the field, and quite a few ladies out there on the grid as well. Plenty of variety, like we mentioned. We've got Mazdas, we've got Toyotas, we've got HQs out there. We've got plenty of Holdens on the grid, some Fords thrown in there. And a BMW will be starting today on pole. There should be some traffic. We did see that earlier today, didn't we, where it took all of about 4 laps. Some cars nearly got lapped twice in an 8-lap race. That's how much variety there is out there.
Yeah, and one of the big differences that we've seen since this morning's race is we've had a pretty strong sort of headwind come about onto the front straight here. Ambient temperature's gone up, so track temperature's up. We've got Spider-Man. It's all happening up here in Darwin.
It must be really warm. That's all I can think, seeing him down there in the lane. Each to their own, I guess, Warren.
Well, I do work with the occasional superhero down there at Movie World, so I know that it's hot work for them.
You're also working with Porsche Carrera Cup Australia this weekend, McElroy Racing, where qualifying session has been complete.
Yeah, look, it was really tight out there in Carrera Cup. It was sort of between sort of the top sort of 10 cars. There was like only a couple of tenths between them. So between 2nd and 6th was a tenth in it between those guys. So it was really tight. It's sort of the biggest field that we've seen up here for a long time in Carrera Cup. And those guys are going to put on some great racing this afternoon. So Jackson Evans, our lead driver, he's leading Carrera Cup at the moment. Qualified 6th, was a little bit disappointed in sort of his performance out there. Didn't quite get the car to his absolute liking out there. But as I said, it's so tight amongst all those guys. It's really going to be a case of stay out of trouble on that opening lap. And like I said to him, you've just got to survive the first few corners, get to the hairpin, and the real race starts from there.
It's your pole setter having a drink. It's a wise idea at the moment because it's a good 30 degrees at the moment. You can see the heat. That's what it's like up here in Darwin. Hot, sticky air, thick, humid weather. As we get set to launch into the second of 3 races this weekend for improved production, Commodore Cup and HQ. Good grid of 35 cars getting ready to line up. You hear the rotaries out there.
Cameron Vanderdungen will be in his element down there in pit lane listening to those.
How's the old school paint jobs on some of these cars? We've actually got a pair of old school looking HRT entries, and unfortunately we've lost one of the HQs before we even got a chance to start. Looks like this grid is set. It's a long run down to that first corner. Long radius left-hander. Watch for the Mazda. Had a tardy start to race number 1. Time to go racing again here in Darwin. Even start this time. Can Braun get the beamer going? Oh, there's nothing in it between the front row. Actually, Ubergang's the man to watch out for in the 63. He got a really good start. Just not quite close enough to have a crack down there in turn 1. Sitting there on the start line for a while, but it's a clean start.
Playford definitely made amends for the race 1 start. You can see both cars got a good initial launch, and I think he just beat him on horsepower on the run down to turn 1. So now it's going to be on Braun to see if he can come back from here, keep the pressure on, and get back to the lead. Same as race 1, everyone being very generous in giving each other room. We usually see a few cars running wide on the exit of that corner. Braun trying the outside there. Not the best way to get around there.
Fairly optimistic, wasn't it? As he actually pinched the left front tyre when it came time to turn into turn 6 through the valley. Plenty of pace early. As the tyres come up to 10. This has been the trickiest corner in just about any category so far this weekend. It's caught a car out in every category so far this weekend except improved production. It's the kiss of death, isn't it?
Famous last words. It's actually claimed 2 of our Carrera Cup cars, so it's yeah, we've seen it firsthand.
Onto the front straight, 1.1 kilometres. Time to put the pedal all the way through the firewall. No sport, sounds quite like it. And the front 3 are all on top of each other. Playford fending from Braun. Ubergang right there with him. A pair of Mazdas and a BMW.
It's going to be interesting to see how the track temperature is going to play out. Even though it's only an 8-lap run for these guys, but these cars don't really like the temperature too much. We've seen it in the past where sort of temperature has sort of had a few mechanical reliability issues with some cars. So these guys will be wanting to make sure that, say for Ubergang, he doesn't want to sit behind for too long getting that hot air.
Pretty even start off the start line. Much more so than what we saw in race number 1. A little bit of wheel spin from the Mazdas. Not a lot else to read into it. It's amazing how quick those little Mazdas are with so many big V8s behind them and, you know, nearly a quarter mile down to turn 1. It's a pretty impressive effort to clear out.
Yeah, they really are a great example of power to weight ratio. They're a nice little lightweight chassis. It's putting out somewhere in excess of 300 horsepower. So when you combine that with sort of a car that weighs sort of somewhere in probably the 900 kilo range, they've got great power to weight ratio.
Fight for the lead is still well and truly alive here. All 3 of them scrapping down at turn 1. Let's go to Cameron.
To follow up on your point on the overheating, Luffy, earlier this year when we saw at the Adelaide 500 improved production as a support category, there were massive overheating issues there, and actually most of the category implemented a sprinkler system of water they put in front of the radiator. It's so much so that Bunnings sold out that weekend in Adelaide. But I can tell you with the category running here so regularly up in the heat of Northern Territory, they're normally okay. Rotors are a bit more susceptible at times because of the higher rev level they run at.
Thanks, Cam. These 3 are really turning up the heat, actually. They're all sideways going through turn 5. And we've got a proper scrap for the lead of this motor race.
I think Ubergang's the one in the box seat here. He's watching the cars in front. He's driving a nice straight sort of line through all these corners. Braun, on the other hand, is sliding that BMW around. And again, it's only a short race, but these tyres will tend to heat up, overheat, and start to lose grip if you keep driving it sideways like that. So he needs to keep the car nice and straight. Try and keep the pressure on Playford. There's still 6 laps to go. He doesn't need to worry about getting past him just yet. Look after the tyres.
This is what I was talking about. How's the big slide through turn 5? All 3 of them. It was like that race at Sydney Motorsport Park where Shane Van Gisbergen and Wincup and Mosner were all drifting back to the pits. Great scrap between the top 3, and the BMW has now moved into the lead. Down at turn 1. So Braun, the new leader, trying to go back-to-back race wins. A little bit more behaviour from these cars through there. Oh, wow, Satchwell. Heavy contact to the front of this car and bang into the tyre wall. Goodness me.
I'm not sure if something's broken on the way down there, but it's, as you said, it's definitely taken a big impact on the front left there. Hopefully we can see a replay of what's actually happened there.
Good to see him moving around in the car. It appeared to knock the wind out of him there for a moment. He's taken a nasty whack. It's gone a long way down that, it's not really an escape road, but just into the runoff area. He takes the steering wheel off the steering column, so he's okay. Whoa. I don't think I've ever seen a car hit that wall.
No, that's bizarre. We need to sort of be able to see what's happened in the lead up to that, because it's like as he's come through that small little change of direction, and one of these cars, that would be easily flat through there, whether something's broken on the car or something that sort of speared him off towards the left, heading towards that wall. Really nasty impact. But like you said, good to see him moving around in the car and able to get himself out of there.
Now, this would be tough because there could be yellows up here somewhere. They're weaving their way through the traffic. This is where it all happened. They've cleared the HQ just in time. Can't see any yellow flags. So that's good news for this race to get going. Mazdas scream through the valley. HQs. Oh, this would be tight. Ubergang, very opportunistic. Great to see Satchel out of that car. But a real shame because it had heavy damage to the left-hand side. We don't like seeing that to anyone's race car. He goes to inspect the damage. But how about that move from Ubergang? Picked his moment, didn't he? Yeah, and this is what we spoke about earlier with the lap traffic that you know is going to sort of come into play in this race. He just played the card really well. He saw what was going on in front. Obviously, Playford decided to go one way. Ubergang was like, well, hey, I've got nothing to lose here. I'm going to go to the right, and turned out to be the right side. Look at the traffic. It's about as much traffic as you'll ever see here in Hidden Valley, or in Darwin for that matter. It's not a city known for its traffic.
It's like a 1970s taxi rank.
The HQs are going 3 wide through turn 1, and the leader is going, oh, come on. It's like someone's put up the roadblock. He's not going to get through there, surely. Oh, lovely. Now Ubergang's got to follow him. Oh, that's committed. Very committed. Gets it done. Traffic playing its part. Just 2.5 laps to go. Back through the valley. Braun locking the left front. Ubergang's reeling him in here.
Poor Playford, I think he's sort of feeling like he can't take a trick with this lap traffic in this race. It's sort of whichever way he goes, it's the wrong way to go.
It's almost comically bad ahead of him at the moment. He gets 1, but he's trying to bring home the 78 in one piece at the moment. The guy who picked up the pole award yesterday in qualifying. It's not getting any easier for him as the HQs are having an almighty race at the moment. Don't mind seeing a bit of traffic play into it. Add a bit of spice to a race.
Look, it always adds a great element into the race, and look, we'll see it today in the in all the categories, especially come V8 supercars, when you take into consideration people on different tyre strategies and pit stops and everything like that. It's one of those things you've just got to sort of accept it, and you've got to make it work for you, which obviously Ubergang did to perfection.
Shane's walking away from the scene down there, from the little Datsun that found the fence. Thankfully, he's okay, able to walk away. 2 to go. Can Ubergang reel in the BMW? Little E30 has been bulletproof. Ubergang has won plenty of races here in the past. It's further back in the pack. They wind their way through the traffic. That's right. The 34. Jake Burgess further back on that pack as well at the moment. This is the pack I'm talking about. Some wild stuff. Jessup now winding his way through. So too Salmon. Let's go to Cameron.
And guys, I can tell you the IPRA Victorian members have been very vocal on socials about how happy they are with Rob Braun dominating up here in Northern Territory. So a big shout out to those guys. I know they've been pumping the Fox Sports coverage.
Thank you, Cameron. And a big hello to all of the Victorian Improved Production races that'll be loving the action. Speaking of Jake Burgess, the 24-year-old has unfortunately pulled up the Commodore. And that's down at turn 1, Luffy, I think, judging by what we're seeing here.
Yeah, they should be able to cover that hopefully with flags, with only being 1 lap to go.
Still relatively new. Started in the category back in 2016. And unfortunately, that's come up short for him. How about the last lap from Braun? 1:16.9. The fastest lap of the race set on lap 4, and he's been turning up the wick since. He was 3.1 seconds quicker than Ubergang on that last lap.
I'd say traffic probably came into play on that one there. But look, it's good to see that for him that this late in the race he still can keep pushing on, and the car is still delivering its best speed this late in the race. So he sort of backed it off a little bit now in this last lap of the race, just taking it a little bit easy. Nothing worse than firing it off with on the last lap. Just ask Dave Reynolds at Perth.
He got away with it though, didn't he? Still managed to finish P2 on that day. Checkered flag time, and the BMW will double up against the locals today. It's going to be Braun. Race 1, race 2. Had to work for that one. Quite lead at lights to flag. Ubergang home for second. Nice drive. And then it'll be Playford home in P3. That's Victoria, Queensland, Northern Territory, your top 3. And here comes our pole sitter from yesterday's race. This qualifier bringing it home. So 8 laps done. There was no shortage of drama down at turn 1. Let's see what happens. Oh, this will get nervy with Burgess sitting there. Oof, good heads up thinking from Bowen. Just to get out of the way.
Bit of racing going on that I'm sure the officials don't really want to see with a car on the outside of the circuit like that. You'd have to assume there'd be yellow flags down there. So maybe a few little slaps on the wrist for some of those guys.
Still, they find their way to the checkered flag. Double waved yellows down there. Further to your point, Luffy. And there is your race winner once again in the little BMW, going 2 from 2 this weekend. Fair turn of speed. A reminder, they break the improved production class in 2 with over and under 2 litres. That is the over 2 litre winner and outright winner, Robert Braun from Ubergang and Playford. Bryce Forward first time in Commodore Cup ahead of Ling and Holdsworth. So Dempsey, who actually finished P2, finishes P4 in that class this time out. 39 seconds covering the top 10. There's Holdsworth there. Our under 2 litre winner was Wright, and our HQ winner, Dwan Cambridge, down there. They lapped all the way up to about P19 today. So a fair bit of traffic to wind your way through, lapping about 16 cars. Rob Braun picking up his second win and setting the fastest lap of the race. Did so on lap 4, the 1:16.9. There's a tight start between the front pack and a clean start down to the first corner.
Yeah, good drag race by these two off the front road. You can see the horsepower of the RX3 just sort of came to the fore on that run down to turn 1. Immediately went to the inside to go a little bit defensive, and from here on it was all eyes in his mirrors.
Turned into a pretty good battle between the front 3. This was the highlight for me, slipping through turn 5 as they all got greedy with the right foot. These searing track conditions starting to heat up. The fight for the lead was on. The move was made down there at turn 1. The BMW moving through to the lead. This was a strange one, wasn't it? Satchwell, bang! Concrete wall, sideswipes that heavily. Not a nice impact for the little Datsun. Thankfully, Shane was able to crawl out of that car. He finished 4th earlier, the Queenslander. Unfortunately, not bringing the Datsun home today. Flicking the dirt up, pushing the limits. And 24-year-old Jake Burgess, one of the locals, getting stuck at the outside of turn 1. Thankfully, no one else joined the party. It was close, though.
Not what you want to have happen on the last lap of a race.
Thankfully, we managed to bring the rest of the field home behind the BMW, doubling up once again. Car number 86, congratulations to Victoria's Rob Braun. Looking pretty good so far this weekend. And their final race will be up tomorrow morning. They'll have nice, cool conditions, so some of the turbo cars in particular will be happy to see that. Still plenty more action to go here at the Crown Bet. Darwin Triple Crown will pick up